Hey guys, Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who. Last time around we had the Age of Steel. There we go. It's because the Idiot's Lantern is highlighted, so I got confused. I'm tired. So what happened on the Age of Steel?
Well, it was the conclusion of Rise of the Cybermen, and the cliffhanger at the end of Age of Steel was thwarted when the Doctor used his sonic screwdriver on the Cybermen. No, it was the crystal, the power crystal.
Yeah, the power cell.
And Ricky, who was Mickey's double, got killed, so Mickey decided to step in for him, and they stole a Zeppelin, or they got into the Zeppelin and managed to download the destruct signal. I don't know, I can't remember exactly, but all the Cybermen started imploding. Unfortunately, one of them was Jackie, or the otherworld Jackie, and at the very end, the big thing was that Mickey decided, since he was really kind of useless in his own world, he was going to stay and try to become the new Ricky and be with his grandmother, Ricky's grandmother. Anyway, a very interesting set of circumstances. And again, rather an unexpected leaving behind. We mentioned it was kind of like Romana, and the other one who stayed behind on the plague ship, Nyssa.
Right. Yeah. So that is the end of Mickey the Idiot staying behind to help. Because, I mean, the thing they also point out at the end is there are more factories of Cybermen around the world, so they got to go deal with that and clean it up. And yeah, luckily the Doctor and Rose were able to get back to their universe and head back to London to chill for a little bit, because it was a bit of a heavy set of episodes, honestly. So yeah, that's pretty much where we are. We're moving on into the Idiot's Lantern today. So, you got anything else?
The sweater vest is back because it's cold in here again. It is now early November in the southern plains of the United States. Temperatures are dipping down into the 40 degrees Fahrenheit. 40 centigrade would be very warm. And it's cold outside. So I'm bundling up for the rest of the winter.
Yep. And I am sitting here with my fan on high. I could use 3 more fans, honestly, on me right now.
I don't understand it.
For some reason, I must just run warmer than you do. I don't know why, but
well,
I mean,
remember, I'm on medication. I'm on blood thinner, so that may be part of it. But
that's a start. So
I'm cold.
Well, yeah. So yeah. Expect banter like that for the next 10, 15 episodes or so while we go through the winter. I mean, if it gets genuinely really cold, then I'll probably turn down the fan. I think maybe not. It depends. But as I was like setting everything up and stuff, I was like, man, I gotta turn that fan up. I'm getting warm. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just something about me. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just being born in global warming and living through that all my life. It just keeps me a higher body temperature. So
again, I lived 3 years in France and 3 years in England, which is a much higher latitude than here in Oklahoma. But again, living in England, it didn't get really, really cold there. I mean, it did snow quite a bit. In France, it rained mostly because they're on the east side of the, I guess the northeast side of the Alps. And so it would rain there 9 months of the year and snow just infrequently for the other 3 months. But here on the southern plains, the Canadian air masses come sweeping down out of the Arctic, and it's just bone-chilling.
Well, yeah. But it's only the time is getting shorter and shorter. Like, I mean, I think it was last year I was like, man, we still getting tornadoes in October? That's crazy. And now we literally hit just the day before November the 4th. It was the day before the election, basically. We're not getting into that. But the day before the election, tornadoes, you woke me up at 6 a.m. saying there's a tornado warning. You got to get ready for that.
Sirens in our town were going off, which means go to the if you have a storm shelter, which we don't, but go to the interior room of your house and be prepared for your house to be blown away. Fortunately, all of the tornadoes were east of us, so all we got was a lot of heavy rain and wind.
So now the months that we can count on there not being tornadoes are only December, January, and February. Technically, June and July to an extent, because it's just too hot to form an actual tornado, but even still.
Well, being a teacher of Oklahoma history for 10 years, I can tell you that Oklahoma has actually experienced tornadoes in every month of the year. They are rare in December and January and February, but they were up until this year rare in November as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole climate pattern is changing. Now, that being said, the upshot of all that is that the frequency of tornadoes in Oklahoma, and in fact all up and down the Great Plains, is going to diminish because it has been proven by the data that what we now know as Tornado Alley, which is, again, right along the Great Plains, is shifting eastward. It's now going into the Mississippi Valley. And it's simply because it's getting drier in the plains area, in the Midwest, and tornadoes have to have a certain amount of moisture in addition to the colliding warm and cold air masses. So anyway, in the next 15, 20 years, we should see fewer tornadoes in the Midwest and more in the Mississippi River Valley, especially in Mississippi, Alabama, and western Tennessee and Kentucky. And
suckers. So I say that completely non-seriously and jokingly because, I mean, it's not like tornadoes aren't a danger. They obviously are. Good grief, but still. I mean, I don't know. I guess every place has something. I mean, see, it's something I think about. It's like, well, would I rather have the tornadoes here or live on the West Coast, where at any point there could be an earthquake, and at any point there could be the big earthquake.
And tsunamis.
Yeah.
And wildfires.
Yeah, and I remember I think there was a Robin Williams joke about that, where it's like, so when will the big earthquake happen? And it's like, well, it could be tomorrow or 10,000 years from now. And he's like, well, thanks for the heads up.
Yeah.
Basically, if your cat is freaking out next to the door, get out.
They are overdue. The last big, really big earthquake on the West Coast was in 1906. And those usually occur roughly every 100 years. So, yeah, they're way overdue.
Yeah. And, I mean, that is at least the one thing about a tornado is you see it coming. You know the weather is coming in advance. And, you know, there's always ways of checking the severity. First, you see if it's going to rain. Second, you see if David Payne is on. If he is on, then you got to pay attention. And if he is on, then you got to pay attention to where he is. But generally, it's not going to just form right on top of your house. Yeah. If it does, that's real bad luck.
We haven't had a tornado here in our town in Edmond, Oklahoma since 1986. And that was, if I recall, an EF2 or maybe a very low EF3. Wind speeds probably between 100 and 120 miles an hour. Hit the west side of town, damaged about 150 homes. No casualties. So.
Well, that's good. So, none of this has to do with today's episode, but you know us. We have sometimes we just talk about nothing before the episode starts, and luckily, people actually seem to enjoy that. So, I feel like we could just get away with a podcast. Like, not even talking, like not a specific podcast that talks about specific things, just a podcast where we just get on a microphone and we just talk about nothing for an hour or so.
It's Seinfeld for the Midwest.
Yeah.
It's a show about nothing.
Exactly. So, we could do that I was about to say if we ever run out of Doctor Who episodes, but that implies a lot. Like, by the time we catch up to where modern Doctor Who is right now, we are going to be so much older by about 3 years or so. So I don't know if we'll ever get to that point, but maybe we could do that sometime. We'll just have a podcast about nothing. I don't know. You can hear all our opinions on tornadoes and, I don't know, a drink that I happen to drink or something, and the election. I don't know.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, but we're not doing that. We're not doing a podcast about the election today. And the good news is we don't have to do that, and I wouldn't have to censor that, because there would be censoring involved, I'm sure. Today, we are just going to watch The Idiot's Lantern, and we're going to have a good time. So,
It's just like the Village Idiot's Lantern. I guess I'll have to find out.
yeah. So let's get right into it.
Okay.
And that brings us to the end of programming for today. So, from all of us here at Alexandra Palace, a very good night.
Man, imagine TV programming ending.
Oh, that way when I was growing up.
Man, that honestly sounds like a luxury. And I don't even watch TV.
And some TV in 1963 didn't come on until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, perhaps we'll get one for the coronation. If you're lucky. We'll see.
The
Halfway up.
1950s.
I heard they rot your brains, rot them into soup, and your brain comes pouring out of your ears. That's what television does.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Oh no, this isn't a dream.
Going too lally then.
Not at all, sweetheart. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then we'll begin.
Got out. Your brains.
All right, so movies were The Magic Lantern, and now this is The Idiot's Lantern.
Meh.
Yes, crinolines.
Going for the Vegas era, you know the.
You on my way, doll?
Is there any other way to go, Daddy L? Straight from the fridge, man.
Ah, you speak the lingo.
Yeah, well, me, Mum, Cliff Richard movies every bank holiday Monday.
Cliff Richard. That's something else that you'll never see here in the United States. The house that we had in Mildenhall, the stairway up to the second floor was very narrow. I mean, even when I was, 12 years old, it was brushing elbows each side as you went up.
And it's me, it's Tommy.
What if she's dying?
I am talking! It's better. A little bit of hush.
Hi!
Who are you then?
Not Hush.
Is the Union Jack only when it's flown at sea?
Oh, I'm sorry. I do apologise.
Well, don't get it wrong again. There's a good man. Now get to it!
Brian! Nice and comfy. At Her Majesty's leisure. Union flag.
Mum went out with a sailor.
I bet you did. Anyway, I'm the doctor and this is...
What goes on under my roof is my business.
Not if people are being...
I am talking!
And I'm not listening! Now you, Mr. Conley, you are staring into a deep, dark pit of trouble if you don't let me help. So I'm ordering you, sir, tell me what's going on.
See, it works out having his hair
She won't say.
higher, too.
Yeah.
He has more authority. Ugh.
Haven't we seen this before? The faceless ones?
Hold on a minute. There are 3 important, brilliant, and complicated reasons why you should listen to me. 1.
Oh,
And as for you, Mr. Connolly, only an idiot hangs the Union flag upside down. Shame on you.
Yes, the old Indiana Jones trick.
meh.
I don't see a lot of
Oh, very good.
fruit sellers and sweepers out at night.
Very good.
I mean, it's just one step away from a Wile E. Coyote trick. It's like the gas mask people.
Good night, children.
everywhere.
Start from the beginning, tell me everything you know. You were there today at Floresville Street and now breaking into this establishment. Oh, you're connected with this. Make no mistake.
Well, the thing is, Detective Inspector Bishop,
How do you know my name?
it's written inside your collar. Bless your mum. But I can't help thinking.
20 years on the force. I don't even know where to start. We haven't the faintest clue what's going on.
Well, that could change.
How?
Start from the beginning. Tell me everything you know.
Oh. What a good flip. Torchwood.
They did what?
You've had your fun with your little doctor, but now you're left with me, Rita. So you'll behave yourself. And smile.
Man, this dude in his face sucks.
I'm gonna say, you got some casserole there. Give him a face full.
Proper little mummy's boy all round.
Oh, you know what they say about them. How do you want to beat that out of him?
That's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
It was a different time.
How else would the police know where to look? Unless some coward told them.
How dare you! You think I fought a war just so a mouthy little scum like you could call me a coward?
Don't get it, do you? You fought against fascism, remember? People telling you how to live, who you could be friends with, who you
This
could
is
fall in
timely.
love with,
Eh.
live and who had to die. Don't you get it? You were fighting so that little twerps like me could do what we want, say what we want.
You go, Tommy. Go with the doctor and do some good. Get away from this house. It's poison. We've had a ruddy monster under our roof, all right, but it weren't my mother.
Rita! What's all that then?
That was the sound of something ending. And about time too. Everyone all right? Smashing. Nothing's gonna spoil our big day, is it?
Good.
You can't do that.
Like he didn't bother to use the screwdriver on that.
And when I have feasted, I shall regain the corporeal body, which my fellow kind denied me.
Good Lord, colour television. So you have people trying to...
Do you also serve as the GPS?
Feed me, Krellborn. Feed me now.
Got it. Let's go.
I love he took a moment to put on his trench coat.
Wait. Where do we think we're... Oh, I'm very sorry, sir. Shouldn't you be at the coronation?
Let's give me a seat. Who do you think you were? You're Belgium, apparently.
You know, out of context, this looks like the weirdest assassination attempt.
You understand?
This is how the Fourth Doctor bought it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, even the dog.
It's closed down, I'm afraid. And no epilogue.
Oof. Now throw it off for good measure.
I turned the receiver back into a transmitter and I trapped the wiring in. I just invented the home video 30 years early. Betamax. Oh, look!
Then she'll never get out again.
The Queen, eh?
In that picture, there was a little boy on the right of the Queen. Well, on her left, that's King Charles.
All right, now can we go see Elvis?
Out.
Back when you could travel with one bag.
Being an Air Force brat, I'd learned to live out of that suitcase that I still have out in the garage.
Eh. God, imagine just a feast on the street.
Just to be on the safe side, though, I'll use my unrivaled knowledge of transtemporal extirpation methods to neutralise the residual electronic pattern.
You what?
I'm going to take over it.
Seeing it through, I'm always doing that.
New monarch, new age, new world. No room for a man like Eddie Connolly.
That's right. He deserves it.
Tommy, go after him.
What for?
He's your dad.
He's an idiot.
Of course he is. Like I said, he's your dad. Real clever. Clever enough to save the world, so don't stop there. Go on.
Alrighty.
Alright. Well, it's not a bad episode. It doesn't have the same emotional grasp as some of the other things that we've seen. But it's fun, though. You've got, an alien with a very specific need coming at a time when that need can be fulfilled. The domestic politics there, yes, that I can tell you, although it didn't happen in my particular life, I knew of a lot of very controlling men from that time. See, 1953, I would have only been 2 years old, but that really lasted right up until the early 1970s. So, it's a good episode. I don't have much to say about it other than it was okay.
I don't know if this sentiment is felt throughout the whole community or not. I frankly don't remember. But I have seen some people claim that this is the worst episode in the entirety of Doctor Who.
Well, again, there's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't match the emotional level of what we've seen before, either in the first Doctor or the first New Who or the second one here up to this point.
What do you think of the ending of them encouraging Tommy to go back to Eddie?
Well, again, looking back on it from 60 years experience, the men from that time period had always been told that they were in charge. Sadly, we are seeing a resurgence of that in the 2020s. So, if that person can be reclaimed, it's all the better. But the thing is, I don't think that he would. I don't know if he would be able to accept that. The equality of his wife and his son in the home. He had that. By God, we saved the world from the Nazis. I can do anything I want. Well, no, you can't. There has to be some equality, not just gender equality, but financial equality and racial equality. I was again rather surprised, but I didn't say anything at the time. In that last little street scene, there was an obviously, I don't want to say well-to-do, but a very well accepted black man in the street. Again, I did not see that, but then again, I wasn't in a large town. I wasn't in London. I rarely ever remember seeing people of color anywhere except on the military bases. The United States military wasn't integrated until 1948. So that's one of the reasons why I grew up with, I guess, such an accepting idea of race and gender is because I saw that very early on in life. But, this guy, if he fought in World War II, and he's now probably in his mid to late 40s, that means that he was born before World War I. So he knew the sacrifices of the men, that lost generation of World War I, the Great Depression, the worldwide Great Depression, then having to go to Europe to fight the Nazis and the fascists, and the whole works there. So I think it would be very hard for him to try to come to terms with gender and racial and financial equality.
I think it's a thing because I see the main argument that I see about that last scene is that it shouldn't be Tommy's responsibility, and he should not be forced to go and interact with a very clearly abusive person who, spares no thought at beating him, and Tommy shouldn't have to go back into that. If I were to guess, and this is just guessing the intentions of Mark Gatiss, the writer, what I would imagine is it is a thing of like, well, it's not just that, he's going back, is that he is trying to see that better outcome. I just feel like the actual writing doesn't lead into that, because Eddie doesn't have this moment of, by God, I'm wrong, what have I done, and stuff. He just, everything just sort of, he loses control of everything. And then at the end, he doesn't even have a line. She just gives him his bag, he takes it, and he leaves. Yeah. So,
now, two things about that. The ending is left ambiguous because it doesn't show whether he comes back. But to me, the impetus, the reason why that happened, is because of Rose not having her own father. And Rose is the one who says, look, he is your dad, for better or worse. I don't think she said this, but what could have been is that she says, you should give it a try. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But she understands what it's like to grow up without a dad, so I think that was the whole reason that she simply said, look, go and try it. And again, the fact that they were walking away, didn't hear what they said, didn't see how that resolved itself, I think that's leaving it open to, well, at least he was making the attempt. If it doesn't work out, then, to hell with him.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing of, Eddie is leaving. He's going to have to go somewhere else. So even if he keeps up some contact, if at any point, he does something and upsets Tommy just leaves, cuts him off, and that's it. So it's like, I understand the frustration, particularly with that last scene. And the rest of it is just, the rest of the complaints for this are like, they don't really find The Wire to be a very compelling villain, which it's really not. It's kind of interesting, but then doesn't really do anything with that. And then just, I don't know. I will say the tone of the episode is really all over the place.
Yeah.
Because, it starts off, you kind of the goofiness of the Doctor and Rose. And even their banter kind of got really goofy in the middle of there. But then you put that into this, this clearly abusive household, while also there's an alien trying to suck people's faces off through the television. It's like, the tone is all over the place. Yeah. And, I can't remember. I don't think Mark Gatiss has written another episode since The Unquiet Dead. Like, since we watched that episode. I don't know. I don't think he wrote another episode between those two. But it kind of feels like it's trying to capture a bit of that, like the tone, especially like with some of the nighttime shots and some of the creepiness of the TV itself. But I feel like it just doesn't go all the way with that.
Yeah.
So,
and you're right. She, the Wire herself, we never see her manifest what she really looks like.
Yeah.
If she had been a bit scarier, because being the pleasant telly lady, and even when she says "feed me," we don't see any real, intense emotion on her face. So yes, I kind of understand that. Again, she's, like you said, not a very compelling villain because, electricity coming out of the television set could be scary, but it isn't.
Yeah. Like this, it almost feels like this is the one of the few times where it's like the special effect doesn't quite work, you know? And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of special effects in these early seasons that look like crap. And they do. I mean, just like from the first episode when like Mickey got eaten by a trash can, that was a horrible effect. But the tone of that episode was way more lighthearted, you know? And I feel like a lot of times they do kind of get away with some of these bad effects. I mean, in the same way that classic Doctor Who would get away with some, you know, questionable, you know, either visual effects or like makeup or something. Like, they could kind of get away with it. Modern Who gets away with some of its CG. This one, and especially too, because it's like, it almost felt like there's not really, there's not the proper direction of like, what's happening to the person. It's just an effect of like, okay, stand there, you know, we'll CG this thing coming in and taking your face, and it's like, okay, but you're just standing there doing nothing.
Yeah.
Like, the only time was when the Doctor was kind of struggling to get the sonic screwdriver and cancel it.
But I wonder if they did it that, because I was thinking, yeah, I mean, the people should have reacted to their faces being torn off. But, let's face it, pun not intended, that could have been really frightening to younger viewers. You know, if somebody's watching television, watching Doctor Who on the television, and suddenly on the television, lightning comes out and burns off a person's face and they're screaming and struggling, that would make you not want to watch television.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that may have been a conscious decision, but it ended up hurting the episode because we didn't see that there was any pain involved. Now, Magpie said that it burned, but we don't see that from anybody else.
Yeah. You know, it almost seems like maybe they should have gone the more limited route of like, when someone gets their face taken, it should have just been maybe just a cut, you know? Like, it starts, you hear the maybe like sizzling or something, you see some of the energy on the TV, you know, you kind of have this quick zoom into the person's face, maybe they give a scream and just cut. Next time we see them, the face is gone.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that could have worked instead of just the prolonged scene of trying to make that work through the CG. Yeah. So, of course, then at the climax, how do you keep up the suspense of everyone starting to lose their faces? I don't know, but yeah, I definitely would agree that it's like there is an interesting topic in here about, you know, about someone like Eddie who, you know, he thought he was on top of the world. He beat the Nazis, and he thinks, I can do anything, and I am above everyone because I went and did this incredible thing. I saved the world. And just seeing that sort of being torn down, that could have been interesting. Adding in the whole thing with the television just kind of didn't work. It's like you kind of need one or the other, I feel like.
And I think they missed an opportunity when the Doctor and the police inspector came back to the door, and he was threatening the son, to have the inspector instead of the Doctor step in and say, "Look, bloke, you know, you may have gone and fought, but so did I, so did a lot of other people, and you don't have to be an a-hole about it."
Yeah, because that is another thing. I forgot the conversation the Doctor has with the detective inspector, where he's saying, it's like, I've been doing this for 20 years and I have no idea where to start. He wants to be out there, but he's orders on high. We can't have anything going on during the coronation, so just if you find him, take him, lock him away. We will figure this out after the coronation and everything. And he's just sitting there like, I need to be doing something about this. And I completely forgot about that scene, and it really feels like it's just sort of overlooked. And even, once they start doing that, then he loses his face, and he's not a part of the finale, basically. No. So it is a thing. It's like, I don't hate the episode like other people do. I will acknowledge I understand where people come from about this episode. So it doesn't bother me per se, but I mean, it's not an episode I would really go back to other than doing it for this. So
let's see, of we had 13 episodes with Eccleston.
Yeah.
And then the Christmas special.
The Christmas special, and now this is episode 7 of this season.
So 21 episodes. This is number 21.
Yeah, I'd probably say that.
Yeah, because I don't think there was anything in Eccleston's era that came close to this.
No, because even like, and that's the thing is like even the episodes that I had remembered, I was like, well, this is kind of a lesser episode of season 1. I watch it, I'm like, honestly, it's still pretty solid. Yeah. And like, there's like, I think the long game is the one that like, I think most people would cite the long game as probably the weakest episode that Eccleston has. And even then, watching that again, it's like, I kind of get it. And even like, because that just reminds me, like at the beginning of this, you know, they mentioned the whole, well, TV will rot your brain. And obviously that's an allusion to what's going to happen. And I thought it's like, well, TV will rot your brain. You know, you hear that. Every kid has heard that since the TV was invented. And then I thought it's like, I mean, yes, but it's, and I thought I was like, well, could you do like a message on that, like, oh, well, TV will rot your brain in the same way that, you know, the internet probably rots brains now, and that's not gone into because there's, you know, 3 other weird things they're trying to put in that don't really go together.
Now, I will say this: we got our first television probably about 1954, 55, so. I have been watching television for 68, 69 years. Has invited my brain. But yeah, it's how you approach it. You know, you have to approach it like any other form of entertainment. You have to understand it is entertainment. You know, if you see something, you go, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. You know, I'd go pick up a book. I'd go pick up an encyclopedia. I'd look it up. I'd read more about it. But I know that there are people who just, you know, whatever pours out of the tube is absolutely gospel to them. And I just want to go, wake up. You know, this is 2024. Don't believe what you see.
Yeah, there's the people that will take everything that the television says, and there are other people that will take everything that's posted on, you know, Facebook or Twitter or anything. And that's another thing where there's a new social media app called Blue Sky, and I think it was made by the people that used to own Twitter before the dark times and
before the Dark Lord took it over.
But basically it's almost exactly the same as Twitter, and so many people have been moving over there, and they're like, oh, it's nice because there's no Nazis, there's no crypto bros, and there's no Elon bros at Blue Sky. And there's a part of me, I do have a Blue Sky account. It's down in the description if you want to follow it, but I do kind of look at it, I'm like, I get why we're all happier over here. But why? Why couldn't we all just be like, well, Twitter's no more Twitter, well then that's just it, you know? Why do we have to move over to something else, you know?
Yeah.
So
I saw a meme the other day. It was like, you know, wow, price of a dozen eggs has gone up to $5. I know. I bet Sauron could fix it. It's like, what are we thinking?
The last thing to say with this episode is something I thought, and it's not really even about the episode, it's just about the coronation. It's like, you know, with this episode, it paints things. So many people watch the coronation on TV. And then I thought, I wonder if King Charles got this kind of reception. Like, I mean, I don't know if there were, you know, like, feasts in the street for the coronation of King Charles, but how many people actually, like, they sat down, it was an event. Like, that day, we're going to sit down all together, we're going to watch the coronation of the king.
You would be surprised. I would imagine that there were some. Now, the difference, of course, is Charles is literally the oldest Prince of Wales ever to, you know, he was like I think he's like 3 years older than me. So he's in his mid-70s. And he has had to wait 70 some odd years to become king, whereas Elizabeth, her father became king when she was still a teenager, if I recall correctly, 17 or 18. Now, again, this is so long ago, please don't quote me on any of this. But then he passed away roughly 7-8 years later, so she was 24, 25 years old when she became queen. So that was still a huge thing. Think of all the monarchs. You had Victoria, who started the 20th century, and then Edward, and then I want to say George, or another Edward. So it was still a thing. But since 1954 up until 2022, there was no coronation. So I think Charles probably had at least some kind of pageantry and dancing in the streets, simply because people were saying, hey, we haven't had this in my lifetime. We haven't had this in my parents' lifetime. The last time we had this was in my grandparents' timeline.
Yeah, it's like it's a thing of like, if I was British at the time, it's like, even if I didn't care about the royal family, I might still be like, well, we haven't had one in so long. I might as well watch, see what's going on. Just riff on it a bit and have a good time.
And again, I'm saying this from an American's perspective. I think the general public has pretty much a fairly decent feeling about King Charles. He has not been the perfect man. Nobody is. But, in his later years, in the last 20 years at least, he has very quietly built up his reputation. And I think for the people who still believe the monarchy is a good thing, that he is doing a good job for them. Now, again, who are we to say we do not have a monarch? Let's hope, here in the United States. Again, for those who like that sort of thing, that is the sort of thing they would like.
Well, yeah.
That's a very British thing to say.
Yeah, so hopefully, though, we fought a whole war to not have a king, and who knows, who genuinely knows anymore what the future will hold, and who knows, perhaps someday in the future, America will change and we will be broadcasting from somewhere else.
I read this morning that not only are applications for how do you get citizenship in Canada up, but also in New Zealand and Australia, and up like 250% over earlier this week.
It's interesting, specifically, like Canada I get, especially because you can just drive there. Australia and New Zealand specifically, too.
Again, and sadly, this is a commentary on us. Most Americans do not speak a second language.
Well, yeah.
So if you're going to move somewhere, you have to go someplace where they speak English. Well, that's New Zealand, that's Australia, that's South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and South Africa is bilingual, just like technically Canada is bilingual. So a lot of the people who are saying, I want to leave here, I want to go someplace where at least I will understand what the people are saying.
I find it hilarious. Nobody wants to go to the UK, though.
I would. I mean,
honestly, I'm going to, as much crap as I've given the UK over the past 500 videos or so, it'd be lovely. It rains. Yes. I like rain. Yeah. It's nice. I'll be the one happy person in the rain in the UK.
We'll go to Scotland.
Yeah. So,
or Ireland.
Yeah. We could go to Wales if...
Yes, but they don't speak English.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding, of course.
Yeah.
But it's just the Welsh accent. As Professor Higgins says, it's painful to the ears.
God, we're going to have to watch Torchwood then, because that has a lot of Welsh accents in it. So, but yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
So what's up next?
Next up is The Impossible Planet. Oh, and by the way, I guess at this point it's old news to them if they've already seen it, but I did make a playlist of every Doctor Who video that I've ever put on this channel, and it's in the order of when I released it. So if you want to go through the weirdest order, so at a point, you'll go through, and then there'll be the first episode we did, and then you'll go through a point, and then it'll stop, and then there'll be the next 4 episodes that we did, and then eventually you'll get into classic Doctor Who, which is the back and forth. So if you want to watch our weird back and forth, it's over 500 videos.
Wow.
550 something videos on the channel. And
we're prolific.
And a fair bit of warning, because it's so many videos, the playlist actually has a hard time loading. And you can still get to it. You can still get to every episode, but it is a bit difficult. So if you want to do that, and that'll be on the end screen too. I'm just going to put that at the end. So you can go and watch every single Doctor Who video. This includes my run of Doctor Who, this run of Doctor Who, our run of Classic Doctor Who, our tour of Classic Doctor Who, every live stream I've ever done about Doctor Who, all the audio dramas we've done for Doctor Who, every last thing. It also includes my reactions to Torchwood and my reactions to the Sarah Jane Adventures. All in the proper order. That's over 500 videos, and it's not stopping anytime soon. So, with all of that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist for all of our modern Doctor Who reactions, as well as the aforementioned All of Doctor Who playlist. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.